friends, this is Dr. Saurabh Patwadan and I'll be talking about how to put IOL in the bag in case of posterior rupture. We already have three-piece IOLs and non-foldable IOLs which are meant to be placed in sulcus in case of PC rent. Then why do you really want to take the risk? But there are some situations like in case of premium IOL like multifocal EDOF or customized IOL like Torix, we have to place the IOL in the bag to have the best outcome. Now, in such situation, what to do? So let's start thinking about how to put a IOL in the bag when there is a posterior capsular rupture. The first important thing to analyze is the status of the antihyaloid and vitreous, whether there is only posterior capsular rupture with antihyaloid intact or if there is a vitreous prolapse. If the antihyaloid is intact, then we have to place the IOL in the bag directly if the posterior capsular support is adequate, and it's much easy to do. But in case of vitreous prolapse, when there is an antihyaloid rupture, we have to remove the vitreous using vitrectomy, and then we have to place the IOL in the bag with adequate support. This is very important because if we don't remove the vitreous completely, sometimes this is done by some surgeons. OVD is pushed so that the vitreous goes back or sideways and then IOL is placed. But many times this vitreous starts prolapsing. Also, it may get engaged with the incision and that leads to further decentration of the IOL and posterior segment problems. Now, what are the cases where I can place the PCL in the back? So let's think about what is the real support for the IOL in the bag. The IOL requires support at the haptic and the optic haptic junction. So if you see the central part of the posterior capsule is actually not critical for the IOL support in the bag. So in situation 1 where there is a horizontal posterior capsular rupture, we can place the IOL perpendicular to it. Same way for vertical, we can just rotate the IOLs 90 degree to that and can have adequate support for the IOL. In case of a small peripheral posterior capsular rupture, which is less than say 4 millimeters, we can easily place the IOL, which is away from this area and can achieve good support. Now, in case of large peripheral rent, many times on table we use OVD and try to place the IOL in the bag, but it may later shift to one side because of either gravity or capsular fibrosis. So we don't want that decentration. Now, in case of large peripheral PC rupture, there is another option of doing optic capture. For this, the three-piece IOLs are best suited, but in certain types of IOL designs, this can also be done based on case-to-case basis. So that can also be one of the options to place the optic in the bag while the haptics lie in the sulcus. Now, the plate haptic designs and the three-piece IOLs are difficult to put in the bag because they have some kind of spring action which stretches the posterior capsule. So it is not impossible, but I think it is difficult to place it in the bag. But these other designs are quite suitable for in the bag placement if there is adequate posterior capsular support. So let's look at some of the cases. So this is a case where there is a very small posterior capsular rent at the end of the surgery. So I'm trying to convert it into posterior CCC. Now just look at the mistakes that I'm doing. Now here you can see that antihyaloid is already bulging and I'm trying to do the PCC, which I could do very easily, but you can see the antihyaloid is bulging. So always keep the antihyaloid pressed back using good OVD. Whenever it becomes more convex, there is a chance of antihyaloid rupture, as you can see it happened here. And once the vitreous prolapse is there, we have to take care that we remove the vitreous completely. So use the highest vitrectomy cut rate as possible. Here also we have to make sure that we don't enlarge the existing posterior capsular rent because we want to place the IOL in the bag. So make sure the opening of the cutter is away from the edge of the posterior capsular rent, and then you release the vitreous from all the incision. While releasing the vitreous from the incision, you have to go under the incision like this and then start cutting, and then you have to cut all the strands which are going into the incision. Make sure that the posterior capsular rent margins are not cut. So, and keep looking at these margins, you will be able to see where the strands are going like this. You can see the strands are going towards one incision. As you cut the posterior capsule rent, actually the size kind of decreases slowly. So once you achieve complete vitreous clearance from the bag, you have to check if there are any strands going into the incision. Once you are sure that there are no vitreous strands which are going into the incision, then we can place the IOL in the bag. I prefer to use 2% HPMC as the OVD because it is easy to wash after I implant the IOL. I prefer to enlarge the incision little bit so that there is no resistance to the cartridge, because many times after vitrectomy there is little bit of hypotony, so I don't want more vitreous prolapse. I always place another instrument under the IOL while I am inserting, and I try to open the IOL in the anterior chamber itself, and then using either Sinskey dialer or Kuglen hook, I very gently manipulate the haptics in the bag, making sure that the IOL goes in the bag very gently and it settles over the remaining posterior capsule, as you can see here. And then I will wash the methyl cellulose, which is 2% HPMC, using just passive wash using the BSS. So this is my preferred technique. Also, before I close, I want to check if there are any vitreous strands there, because that we have to be 100% sure to have good visual outcomes in these cases. So I think that has to be carefully looked into. Now let's look at the second case here. This is actually a post-polar cataract, and there was a rent which happened at the last step. And as you can see, I was just checking for any vitreous prolapse, which was not there. So in this case, I didn't try for a PCCC, which is not must in all cases. And we can simply place the IOL in the bag. As you can see, the posterior capsule has good support here. The rent has not extended to the periphery. And then again, as I mentioned earlier, I use just passive visco wash for the methyl cellulose, and which works very well. If you want to use active aspiration, make sure the bottle height is very low. Now look at this case. The posterior capsule opened up out of nowhere, and I wanted to show you how to check for the intact antihyaloid. As you can see, as I inject the OVD, it doesn't go into the vitreous. That indicates that the antihyaloid is intact. Thank you so much for watching the video.